What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from DopeTechDaily.com, and today I'm bringing you guys my 5 biggest problems and omissions with the OnePlus 5. Now I did make my first video, my first follow-up video on this phone since I've had it, my top 5 favorite features, so I am trying to be fair here, talking about the things I like and dislike. If you want to check out my 5 favorite features, I'll drop that video link below and you can check it out. So today let's get into my top 5 biggest problems and omissions, either things that I don't like about the OnePlus 5 and or things that were just missed or left off of the OnePlus 5 entirely. Got the Keep document here. As always, I'll drop a link below as a Drive document if you want to check out the written list. The first thing are display issues, and I know a lot of people have talked about this jelly effect that they've noticed. There's a couple videos on YouTube that show it when scrolling through on Twitter. I haven't noticed any jelly effect at all on my display. I'm not trying to demonstrate it here for you or anything like that because, to be honest, I just haven't noticed it on my display. But I have seen enough videos to know that this is a real problem. XDA published a video saying that, in fact, the reason for this, or the highest probable reason for this, is that OnePlus actually they glued on the screens with the adhesive in the reversed order. So they sort of flipped them in reverse 180 degrees from the way they were done on the OnePlus 3 and the 3T. And so they confirmed this by flipping up the phone and also several other phones and trying to scroll and showing that, in fact, on other phones you can get the jelly effect if you flip up the screen and scroll that way. I'll link the XDA article below if you want. And that's most likely due to space considerations for the new dual camera. They needed to arrange it in a different way so they could get the dual camera module in there. Anyway, I haven't noticed that, but it is a problem affecting a lot of units, and if you have that problem, I probably would return it. But there's also some other things that I have noticed just using the display in my time that are a little annoying. The first one is the brightness on this display isn't quite as high as something like the Galaxy S8, obviously, or not even as high as something like the LG G6. In fact, I've noticed the G6 to be a little bit better in outdoor visibility, even though this is an AMOLED panel. Now, even though it's an AMOLED panel, one thing to keep in mind about this particular guy is that it is a pentile display AMOLED panel. So you do get some pentile blur somewhere in some of the images and some of the text, and if you zoom in enough while you're reading or something like that, it is noticeable. It's not enough to bother me on a day-to-day basis, but it is something worth bringing up. That's completely aside from the fact that this is also 1080p, which some people might not like because you're going to get the higher 2K displays on some other flagships. The 1080p doesn't bother me as much as the pentile blur, the brightness, and also these jelly effect that some other people are seeing. Again, I have not really noticed it at all on my unit, so I can't really speak from experience on that. The next thing is the design. So I talked about the design in my favorite features video, and I talked about the ergonomic design. OnePlus added these subtle curves on the back here on the sides that make it easier to hold in the hand, and I mentioned that it's very similar to the curvature that's on the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus. You can kind of see right there, it is very, very similar, and there's nothing wrong with them, borrowing from that design. And also they borrowed from the iPhone's design as well with the dual camera layout. If you look at the iPhone versus the OnePlus 5, it's very similar in its placement, the logo, pretty much everything is similar, the flash. That's not a problem, but it is uninspired compared to other Android flagships. So all of the other Android flagships this year have really had something that stands out. The Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus, and even the LG G6, they stood out by getting this, minimal bezel design with the 18:9 and even taller aspect ratio. OnePlus didn't go that route. The HTC U11 has a really stunning sort of liquid metal look to it on the back that makes it a really interesting design. But OnePlus decided to make minimal changes, and that's okay. But if you want to stand out against the other flagships in a similar pricing, and here's the thing, the LG G6 can be had for the same price as the OnePlus 5 today. So it's not like the OnePlus 5 is that much cheaper anymore. In the US, you can also trade in a phone through Samsung, and you can get yourself a Galaxy S8 for $525, which is actually a little cheaper than what I paid for the OnePlus 5. So it's just something to keep in mind for me when I'm thinking about the price to value ratio, is this fact that they just decided to go with an uninspired design. Now, something else to do with the build that I've noticed is the power button on this particular phone is a little bit looser than I'd like. This might not be all units, but it wiggles a little bit. I don't know if you guys can hear it. A little bit there. That's not a huge deal. The volume buttons don't seem to have that problem. They both seem to be very sturdy, but that's another possible issue. I don't have any of those issues with my Galaxy S8 or my G6 or anything like that. And then also the backlit keys at the bottom, if you're using the capacitive keys, the light is very dim. I don't even know if you guys can see it, and it only turns on when you touch the light. So whenever you touch it, then it goes off very quickly. It's very, very dim though and hard to see. I'd appreciate those if they were a little bit brighter. So those are some of my concerns with the build quality and the design. The next thing is an omission from the OnePlus 5, and there's really nothing to say about this except for the fact that it's not here. That is any sort of water and dust resistance. Obviously the S8 Plus, the G6, even the HTC U11 brought some type of water and dust resistance rating to the table. OnePlus didn't do that, and so maybe we'll see them come out with another phone later this year where they add those features in. In fact, I mentioned over on Twitter that I kind of feel like the OnePlus 5, while it's a really good phone, that OnePlus left out some very obvious features that they knew bloggers and reviewers are going to complain about, so that they can add them back in later this year for a OnePlus 5T. I hope I'm wrong about that, but there's certainly some obvious things like water resistance that they've been missing for quite a while. The next thing is the camera. So the camera overall is good in daylight. It's great. I'm going to have a camera review coming soon, but it has no optical image stabilization. And that would be a really nice feature to have here. This is, again, something they could add later that would make it better in low light. So I showed a couple of my pictures that I took, and I took even a couple other pictures. This is indoors. I took even one a little bit zoomed in. The zoom lens is also nice, but it doesn't work in low light. Again, Tim Schofield made a video explaining this, sort of when the telephoto lens is being used versus just the actual zoom, just pinch to zoom on the main camera. But in low light, this guy struggles sometimes. You can see this photo I took at nighttime. Sometimes it does some aggressive over sharpening, which leads to some unrealistic photos at night. I think optical image stabilization would help a lot with that. Overall, I mean, the camera is not bad, but I do think that's, again, another feature that OnePlus could really try to add in to their phone. And again, if they come out with a 5T, that might be something that we see them throw in there along with the water and dust resistance that would make people really interested in picking up the phone. So again, full camera review coming soon, but the lack of optical image stabilization and the fact that the telephoto lens sometimes doesn't really kick in when you're doing low light, that kind of makes the dual camera not as appealing as it would have been for me. And then the final thing is also something that we've talked about before with OnePlus phones. Dash charging is fantastic, and I love dash charge. You got your USB Type-C port right there on the bottom. Comes with a very nice cable management. I talked about that in my 5 favorite features video and my unboxing. However, dash charging only works with the proprietary power brick that OnePlus includes in the box. If you want to just get yourself a USB Type 3.0, USB-C Type 3.0 off Amazon and use it, you're not going to get that super fast dash charging capability, which is annoying because you got to buy a whole bunch of chargers from OnePlus if you want to take advantage of that feature on this phone. All right, guys, so that is my top 5 omissions and problems that I've had with the OnePlus 5 since I picked up the phone and been using it this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Find me at dopetechdaily.com, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter at the links in the description. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy my content so I can make future videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.